complex is made up of 3 major pyramids. We have the largest pyramid, which is for Khufu, the middle pyramid, which was made for Khafre, and the smallest pyramid, which was made for Menkaure. So the complex was originally built for a pharaoh whose name was Khufu, or king, and it's a tomb. It took about 75 years to complete. It may have been built by slaves, but also new evidence suggests that they were actually paid skilled laborers. So this particular pyramid was made out of very large, heavy blocks of stone placed on top of one another. So I'm not sure how you would get people to move such heavy stone for you if they didn't believe that you were a god. So we're going to talk about that for a little bit. But anyway, inside the largest tomb, Khufu's tomb, there are 3 burial chambers. There's the Queen's Chamber, there's a grand gallery, and at the very top, the highest point, is the King's Chamber. So next to the larger pyramid are 2 smaller pyramids, and we have the Pyramid of Khafre and the Pyramid of Menkaure. And Khafre was the son of Khufu, and Khafre also appears as a sphinx in front of the pyramid complex, kind of to, maybe as a sign of protection, right? Kind of to protect the pyramid complex. So you may also be wondering what all the other smaller pyramids are. Some of those belong to the pharaoh's wives. Pharaohs had multiple wives. Some also belong to other important people who worked closely with the pharaohs or kings. Right now, they're really known as kings. Pharaoh isn't really a term that's used until the New Kingdom. So the piece that we're talking about today is a sculpture of Khafre Enthroned. The statue is made of diorite, which is a very rare and expensive stone. And this sculpture was found in the 2nd largest tomb of Giza. So it really illustrates the wealth and power and divinity of Khafre, and also the wealth and power of Egypt at this time, the Old Kingdom. During the Old Kingdom, Egypt was insanely wealthy. This is really the time where they make these large pyramids. In fact, they stopped doing that because the pyramids are kind of like this sign of, come steal from me. I have a lot of treasure in me. And so a lot of pyramids were looted. So this statue in particular is meant to hold the Ka, or the soul of Khafre. And as we remember from class, the ancient Egyptians believed in an afterlife. So they would have buried themselves with precious items to enjoy in their afterlife. And some of these items they enjoyed while they were alive. And then other items, like this statue perhaps, is an item that would have been made just for their death or their afterlife. So taking a closer look at this sculpture, we see Khafre is wearing the traditional false beard, and this is a sign of power. And he's also wearing the traditional headpiece. And again, these are signs of just being a pharaoh, being a king. His headpiece holds the symbols of the serpent and the falcon. And these are symbols of power. These are symbols of Upper and Lower Egypt coming together. Behind his head is, again, a falcon, and the falcon symbolizes the god Horus, who is the god of kingship and of the sky. So he's a very important god. And Horus kind of symbolizes the right to rule. So he's giving Khafre the right to rule. He's giving him the power to rule. And if we look closely at the chair that Khafre is sitting on, we can also see the symbols of papyrus, the papyrus plant, which is the plant that ancient Egyptians will make scrolls with, and an image of the lotus flower. And these images are meant to, again, represent the coming together of Upper and Lower Egypt. So if you take a closer look at his body, he's very idealized. He has a very strong-looking body. And so at this time in ancient Egyptian history, a pharaoh or a king was also seen as a god. So there wasn't really much of a distinction, which is why people were willing to please a pharaoh, because they were willing to please the gods. So Khafre is a king, which means he's also seen as a god. Therefore, he has to look like a god. He has to look perfect. So he's portrayed as being strong. He's portrayed as being built. He's sitting very upright and dignified. He also has to appear as calm, because pharaohs had to be calm like the Nile. They had to be someone that you can look to for guidance. So this isn't necessarily a portrait. It's more of a symbol of Khafre. It's more of a symbol of him as a godlike king. He really doesn't have that many distinct features. We don't know if this is what he looked like. This is probably carved from one piece of diorite, and it probably would have taken several workers to create it.